going to reconvene this meeting back into regular session. If you would, please rise for the invocation and pledge. Dr. Warren.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to, please.
Hi.
Hi. Introduce yourself to everybody.
My name is Dylan Sean Haynes.
What do you like to do in school, Dylan?
History.
You like history?
Yes.
Good. What else do you like to do?
Daydream at recess.
Like recess, Dylan?
Yes.
There you go. And we have Dylan's sister, Erin, here with us. Erin is a second grader. Erin, would you like to say anything? You want me to tell everybody about it? Well, let me tell them this, that you love science, right?
Mm-hmm.
You love science, and Erin likes to play, and she likes playing with my friends, dancing, and listening to music. Erin, you sound just like my daughter. And then, but definitely not least, we have Mason and Madison.
He's shy.
Mason,
Okay, Mama. Nice.
Mason likes building with Legos and reading.
Stand right there.
And then Maddox, raise your hand. Wave everybody, Maddox. There you go. Maddox likes building Legos and video games. And we actually have Dylan, Erin, Mason, and Maddox parents here, Dr. and Mrs. Haynes. Not parents, good job. Let me tell you what their principal, the Cal, said about these four. Dylan, Erin, Mason, and Maddox consistently model what it means to be a silver spur. All four children are extremely positive and always in a good mood. Great job, guys. We're so proud of you. Show us how to do the play.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wrong hand. Mason, hand over. I pledge allegiance. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Great job. Now, you guys think that we've got something for you, but I also think you guys have something for the board as well. Is that right?
Yes, we have a gift. Yes.
No, this way. I don't have enough for everyone, sorry.
Sorry, they are at Schluter Elementary School. I omitted that. There. Thank you, sir. Hey, you did a good job. Thank you very much.
And remember our school's name.
You did a great job. Schluter, thank you very much. Excuse me. Sorry, Mrs. Howell.
Thank you.
Wow, that was a great job, guys. Thank you very much. Moving down to item number 5, recognitions. Dr. Warren.
Ms. Conklin, we have a great group tonight of supporters that we would like to recognize tonight, do we not?
That's right. We have a lot of great recognitions tonight. So at this time, I'd like to call Dr. Warren and Mr. Schluter to the front for recognitions. And while they're walking down, our first recognition this evening is from KTVT CBS 11 meteorologist Jeff Jameson. He has been named the 2015-16 TASB Media Honor Roll. This is a program established by the Texas Association of School Boards, and the Media Honor Roll recognizes media representatives statewide for fair and balanced reporting of news about public schools. Mr. Jameson was nominated by the Communications Department, and his hours have changed to the morning show, so he told us 7 o'clock is his bedtime. So he regrets not being able to attend the board meeting this evening, but he has sent the photograph on the screen that you can see that he is holding his certificate, and he said he's very proud to receive this honor. He's worked with a number of our science teachers at Northwest High School and Chisholm Trail Middle School, to name a few, to feature students and teachers on a program CBS 11 runs called Real Science. Additionally, he supported NISD's Night of No Limits by bringing the Mobile 11 storm chasing vehicle and presenting to students about his career. So we're very appreciative of that. Next, I'd like to ask the following people to come to the front to join Dr. Warren and Mr. Schluter. Dr. Rob Thornell, Assistant Superintendent for C&I. Dr. Michael Griffin, Executive Director of Elementary Education. Mrs. Christy King, Principal of Roanoke Elementary School. And Mrs. Monica Lemke, our Region 11 Elementary Teacher of the Year. After being named Northwest ISD's Elementary Teacher of the Year, Roanoke Elementary School 3rd grade math and science teacher Monica Lemke advanced to the Regional Teacher of the Year contest. She was recognized as the regional winner at the Region 11 Education Service Center's Teacher of the Year banquet on August 10th. Mrs. Lemke's win establishes her as one of the top teachers in an area educational consortium that includes 10 counties, 77 school districts, 52 charter schools, and 114 private schools. Her honor came despite just 3 years as a full-time teacher because of the enormous impact she's already had on her students and Northwest ISD. She has served as Roanoke Elementary's 3rd grade team leader, and ISD's elementary math curriculum writer and presenter, and given or participated in numerous presentations and trainings with fellow educators. Congratulations. Okay, and next I would like to invite the following people to join Dr. Warren and Mr. Schluter. Dr. Logan Ferris, Executive Director of Secondary Education. Dr. Ron Myers, Principal of Byron Nelson High School. And Mrs. Brittany Harper, NISD's Secondary Teacher of the Year. Mrs. Harper was named NISD's Secondary Teacher of the Year at the Inspire Banquet in April. She advanced to the Regional Teacher of the Year contest and received the Best Essay Award from Region 11 at the Region 11 Education Service Center's Teacher of the Year banquet on August 10th. She has served families and students in Northwest ISD since 2008 and has presented at various professional developments, including the annual Engage Conference. Congratulations. Dr. Thornell, I'm going to ask you to stay at the front, too. At this time, I'd like to ask Mrs. Celine Broswell, Executive Director of Career and Technical Education and Post-Secondary Readiness, to come to the front. Mrs. Broswell was recently honored by the National FFA organization with an honorary American FFA degree for her work promoting agricultural education. She will receive her award during the 2016 National FFA Convention and Expo on October 19th through the 22nd in Indianapolis, where Byron Nelson High School's veterinary sciences team will compete in their event. Congratulations. All right, Dr. Thornell, I think you can be seated now. Okay. At this time, I'd like to ask the following people to join Dr. Warren and Mr. Schluter at the front. Associate Superintendent for Business and Operations, John Graswich. Director of Purchasing, Mark Verschone. Contracted Services Manager Dana Chandler, Durham General Manager Andy Burton, Durham Safety Trainer Tony Hawkins, and Durham Maintenance Supervisor Aaron Harmon. We are proud to announce a new award that directly aligns with the district's core beliefs. The Kids Come First Award will be given to those who set a clear example for others to follow, a person who is selfless and puts others first, a strategic thinker, and someone who is committed to the NISD vision and mission. The first recipient of the NISD Kids Come First Award is Lola Hutchins with Durham Transportation. Come on, Sarah. Ms. Hutchins has been driving a school bus for Durham Transportation since February. Although she has not been with Durham for a long time, she exhibits and models traits in which employees should aspire. Ms. Hutchins is a true hero in every sense of the word, truly putting kids first each day, but specifically on Thursday, August 25th. District administrators were notified around 8:45 that morning of an accident involving bus 685. And if we flip to the screen, we can see some of the, oops, sorry. All right, so district administrators were notified that morning, and bus 685 is Ms. Hutchins' bus transporting approximately 50 Gene Pike Middle School students to campus. Thanks to her quick action, she was able to safely evacuate all students off the bus, and thankfully there were no major injuries. You can see on the screen students from this particular bus enjoying a pizza party provided by Durham Transportation on September 9th. Each student should be commended for their behavior. Although a very scary situation, the students on bus 685 were well behaved and listened for instructions. Ms. Hutchins is passionate about the students she works with and getting them to and from school safely. Durham tells us she has never missed a day of work and is always willing to help. Ms. Hutchins, on behalf of the NIC Administration Building and the Board of Trustees, thank you for being a hero and for putting kids first. And now our Communications and Community Engagement Coordinator will recognize our business partners this evening.
Thank you very much, Emily. As many of you know, Partners in Education has helped organize the annual Back to School Fair since 2013. The fair provides so much more than school supplies. Our students gain access to much needed sports physicals, eye examinations, immunizations, and haircuts. These are services that many families would have difficulty obtaining without the help of the organizations here tonight. First, we'd like to welcome Bridgestone. Human Resources Manager Maggie Delgado, if you would, please come to the front. This is the third year that Bridgestone has partnered with the Back to School Supply Drive. In addition to collecting school supplies of their own, Bridgestone donated the use of an 18-wheeler and driver and helped to move 24 pallets of school supplies from Galderma to Pike Middle School. Please join me in welcoming Bridgestone as an official Northwest ISD partner in education. Thank you, Ms. Delgado. Civic organizations are an important part of Northwest ISD. The local Rotary International and Lions clubs provide services to campuses throughout the district. Tonight, we recognize the following organizations for donating their time and efforts during the last Back to School Fair. As I call your name, please come to the front. From Champions Rotary, representing Champions Rotary, is Phil Beckman. Roanoke Lions Club, President Leland Wilhelm and his wife, Doyce. Come on up to the front. Also members from the Roanoke Lions Club, Jim Cook, Mike Duncan, Valerie Van Slyke, and John Panarisi. Also joining us tonight from the Metroport Rotary Club, Club President Mylan Georgia. And absent tonight is the Justin's Lions Club representative, Miss Liz Johnson. Without the help of all of these organizations, events like the Back to School Fair would be very difficult to pull off. Special thanks to these organizations for their partnership. Finally, we'd like to welcome a new partner to the district, Roanoke Dental Group and Orthodontics. Joining us tonight, as I call your name, please join us up front, Dr. Chimney Dave, Office Manager Jennifer Tomlin, Benefits Coordinator Ashley Brent, Dental Hygienist Cynthia Miller, Lead Dental Assistant Brendan Boxshell, and Dental Assistant Nicole Greenlee. And I believe they have some gifts for the board. All right, let's take a quick picture. Special thanks to Roanoke Dental Group for being our newest partner in education. That concludes our recognitions for the evening. Thanks to everyone for making the time to attend tonight's meeting.
Okay, guys, no excuse for bad breath or bad teeth. Moves us down to item number 6, which is public participation. There is none tonight. How disappointing. Moves us down to item 7, consent agenda. Board members?
Mr. President.
Mr. Wright?
Move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Mr. Wright has made a motion and seconded by Mr. Fuller to approve the consent agenda as submitted. All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you. Moving to the back under item 8, discussion action. A is consider annual review revisions of the Northwest ISD Board of Trustees, standards of professional practice and standards of professional practice. The quick reference guide, Dr. Warren.
And board, this is something you do each year. Mrs. Scott has done a wonderful job of providing you the information that you review each year. She's going to discuss it a little bit, and then you will review it for the next 2 weeks. And then if there are any changes that you would like to make in your professional practice and standards quick reference guides, that will be completely your discretion. So, Mrs. Scott.
All right, thank you. Tonight we're presenting 2 documents to you for your review. One is the Northwest ISD Board of Trustees Standards of Professional Practice. The other is the Quick Reference Guide. At this time, we're recommending 2 changes to the Standards of Professional Practices. Both of these changes are the result of Legal Policy BBFA, which came across during TASB's Legal Policy Update in 103. You had the opportunity to review that and approve the local changes in January of this past year. So on page 15, under the conflicts of interest, you'll see that we're recommending that the amount of disclosing gifts be changed from $250 to $100. They're not a vendor. Okay.
That was quick.
This is in keeping with the change that was made to legal policy, reducing the threshold for disclosing gifts in a 12-month period. We're also recommending that the language is added to legal policy BBFA, detailing that a person who's both serving as a board member and as a vendor, that they must complete the conflict of interest questionnaire. And then that repeat of that language is recommended to be copied at the end of that section. At this time, there are no recommendations for changes into the quick reference guide. So are there any other questions that you may have or things you want to discuss at the moment? All right.
Board members, this is a great document that we've put together and modified over the years, and I appreciated your input, and I think it really reflects how positive this board is and ethical in our practices. So if there's anything else you want to add, let us know. Oh, you've read it thoroughly? Good job. Okay. Well, it will be an action item under the next board meeting.
Next.
Nothing else. Moving to item B, which is the TASB Policy Update 105, affecting local policies, and Local District Update LDU 2016.04, affecting local policies. See attached list. Dr. Warren?
Okay, board, this will be my first report to you on our policy, our first two major policy updates as I've been here. Let's go through just some information about this. Okay. All right, just to review for you, your policy book is separated into 7 chapters, 7 sections, A through G, all that deal with basic district functions, local governance, business and support services, personnel instruction, students, and then the G, section G is government and, community and government relations. Now, TASB Update 105 deals basically mostly, as you've gone through that, with ESSA, with the passage of the Every Student Succeeds Act, which is replacing No Child Left Behind. That is the bulk of Update 105, is just making adjustments to the policies because of No Child Left Behind going away and ESSA coming forward. You have 64 total policies in Update 105, of which 11 you will be making decisions on in 2 weeks at our second September board meeting. 64 total policies, of which 11 you will need to make a decision on as local. All of those except one, all of the local policies, all 64 policies are replacements except one. They're just there's a revision in language of existing policies. One, CLE local, is a brand new policy that the state needs you to include into our local policy group. So that's a breakdown of Update 105. Here's how if you look at all 64 policies and you look at the board book itself, the policy book itself, from the basic information all the way through community and engagement, that's how the policies break down per chapter in your board book. All right, local policy updates. We're not going to spend very much time on the first one. That's just enough said right there. All right, BQ outlines new provisions of planning and local planning and decision making. CLB has to do with maintenance. CLE has to do with flags. CPC has to do with records management. And board, the reason why I boldface CPC is because that is that's the only one of the 11 policies that we're going to ask you to put unique language. If y'all have been doing policy updates long enough to know that we usually go with TASB language that they put out as references and as recommendations to you, but there are some that we call Policy X that we have to use local language, and CPC is that, and I'll explain that to you in just a second. Policy update, local update number 6 is under credentials and records. 7 is under term, and they've just got a fixations with non-renewals in this update. DFBB is of term contracts non-renewals, and then DFAA is reduction in force. Another reduction in force policy for DFFB. Local policy update number 10 is EHBD, which is Special Programs Title I, and FDC is for homeless kids. That's the breakdown of all 11 local policies. To go into just a little bit more detail for you that you need to look at over the next couple of weeks, the local policy, the BFCF, of course, that's a revised policy, superintendent non-renewal. It states very plainly why superintendents do not need to be non-renewed because of protected characteristics. Then it gives you a long list of things that we can be non-renewed for. So have fun reading all that stuff. BQ local is a revised policy concerning our planning and decision making. This comes directly from ESSA. It tells us to not only reach out to families for local planning, but It tells us not only to reach out to parents of our students, but to the families as well. It stipulates not just parents, but families as well of our kids when we're talking about local decision making. It asks the board to not only review mission, the district mission and goals, but also include vision. You already do that, some boards don't. But legislatively, the state would like boards to also look at vision, which drives mission and goals. And then it talks about how we do making sure that all the criteria is met of site-based decision making through what we do normally. That's BQ local. CLB local, it's a revised policy dealing with buildings, grounds, and equipment and maintenance. It's how we kill bugs. It's our integrated pest control management plan and what can be done, and the training that our IPM managers, IPCM managers have to go through, and the training that they have to do to integrate that program into the district. CLE tells us we need to have flags prominently displayed in all of our classrooms, the U.S. and the Texas flag, so our kids can say the pledges every day. CLE local. And that was the new one. That is not in your policy book right now. That was the new policy. CPC local is a revised policy talking about records management. Now, this is the one that we're going to have to use unique language because we actually have to list. We don't have to list Christy's name, but we have to list her job title as our records management officer to comply with the law. And so that will be something that every district has a different name for that person who is in charge of records retention. And so Christy does a great job for us, and she is known as the records management officer for our school district, and that's what will be unique about your policy for CPC. DBA local is a revised policy dealing with credentials. Most of these next few ones is just a revision of No Child Left Behind, substituting ESSA, and of course, ESSA deleted the highly qualified requirement for teachers and paraprofessionals. State law provides that all staff do need to be fully certified, but every place where we had highly qualified in our policies is being deleted so that we'll be able to insert the new language of ESSA rather than No Child Left Behind. And the same thing with DFBB. It talks about non-renewal, and the same kind of thing that held for the superintendent's position, that we may not non-renew staff because of protected characteristics. Protected characteristics are like age, sex, gender, anything like that. We cannot non-renew for those issues. And then it takes out it deletes the highly qualified languages that we cannot non-renew staff because they're not highly qualified. It totally deletes that language out of the policy. DFFA talks about that's our financial period. I'm talking about reduction in force and having to do that. One reason why we would RIF someone was not to be highly qualified, so that is deleted out of this. If we ever have to make a decision to do a RIF, one of the criteria may not be a teacher being highly qualified because that is no more. Same thing with our reduction in force because of a program change. Again, the deletion of the highly qualified criteria for the decision. That is deleted from DFFB. That's just bringing that policy up to ESSA standards. EHBD is a local policy dealing with Title I. Title I special programs, and it talks about comparability of services. That's just making sure that John and Rob are both digging into our programs and making sure we're budgeting local funds as much as we are federal funds for the programs to serve our children. That's the comparability that we have to look at to make sure that our campuses are being treated fairly on whether they receive federal dollars or not. And then FDC local is a revised policy dealing with homeless students. ESSA revised the McKenty-Vento Act. Three things that stand out on this policy. Number one is we need to provide the student liaisons. If the student needs a student liaison, we need to provide them with professional development. That a student, and for some reason, if a student may come out of qualifying for a homeless designation, if they find a home, if they're able to get back on their feet, but we still need to keep them in their school of origin just to keep that support system in place for them and able to do that. And then making sure that we properly inform liaison students, families of the dispute resolution process, making sure they truly understand what their rights are in the district. If there's a dispute, if there's not a misunderstanding, but if there's a disagreement on decisions made on their behalf. Okay, so that all those are update 105. You will have 11, those 11, and Angela will email you this PowerPoint presentation, so you'll have it there over the next 2 weeks to look at. But those are the 11 that we're going to recommend it to you. We recommend 10 of those to use the TASB language, and then the one regarding the records retention, we're going to use the local language because of our job title. Okay? Any questions, board? Okay.
Okay, in that case, let's move to item C, which is TASB Policy Update 106.
All right. Board 106 is a one-item update. 106 is a very short one, but it's a very important one. 106 is all under the subtitle of instruction, section E, the section on instruction in your book, section E. It's EHBAF. That one item is installation operation of video and audio equipment in certain special education classrooms and other special education settings. We've read a lot about this. 106, now that we have finally received guidance and the rules from the Texas Education Agency on this, we've been waiting a long time. In fact, we're still waiting on some decisions at the state level. But everyone is going forward now that we have the rules from TEA to make sure that we are installing these and administering these properly under the law. The main points to the camera and audio law is, number one is this can be requested by any parent, trustee, or staff member of the school district. Those are the three groups who can request cameras in special education classrooms. Number two, parental consent is not required. If my child is in that special education classroom and another parent requests a camera, I can't say no. I cannot request it be taken out. So one request will affect every child in the classroom. That's the way the law is set up. The district will provide video and audio equipment to qualifying areas. When we get requests, which we're up to 5, I believe, we have 5 campuses where cameras will be going into in a very short period of time. The only thing that we deem is make sure that it's a qualifying area, that the children are being served more than 50% in the area that they are in, and the cameras and the audio go in. And then the data must be retained for 6 months. So every minute that is recorded has to be saved on a server for 6 months. And then only in the report of an incident is that video reviewed. Adam's crew has some leeway under the law that provide them the ability to just go and make sure everything's working right, that the audio is working. But other than that, no one may look at that video unless a parent or someone brings an incident to light in which we have to investigate. So it just sits there for the 6 months until that 6 months time is out, and then it is deleted.
I have a quick question. You said that you don't have to have parental consent, but do we notify the parents in those classrooms?
Yes, ma'am.
Prior to?
We are going through the process right now of developing the regulations on how exactly we're going to do this, and one of the steps that the principals, that the central office staff are working on is, just the day by day, what do you do? We receive the request. We have X amount of days to acknowledge that this is a good request and this is a qualifying area. Then we turn back to the parent and tell them, yes, we've received this and yes, it is qualifying. And then we have a certain amount of days that we inform every child, every parent in that classroom that there will be a camera. There's a little bit of debate going right now that I saw some emails about that. We don't know. One part of the law said there actually has to be a sign on the front of the classroom and on the door of the classroom saying to their cameras. Some say yes, some say no. So we're still debating about that. And then after all that is done, and then Adam's crew has 60 days. That's what we're hoping for, to order the equipment, to install the equipment, and then be able to get everything up and running.
Dr. Warren, did the state give us money to work on this?
No, sir.
About how much is it costing per classroom? Have we got an estimate yet?
Price per classroom, we talked about that the other day. I mean,
going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $5,000 per classroom, which covers PD.
Yeah. And we're just at 5 right now?
we're at 5 classrooms right now. And I believe the analysis would be if every classroom were to be requested for the video, what would be the total cost? Did we talk about that?
Somewhere we're still working on numbers. Somewhere between $350,000 and $500,000.
Thank you.
Will the footage be available to just the parents as well without an incident? Or there
No. No one sees the video unless there's an incident, and we're setting up a very precise process to be able to do that, because we actually have to identify the staff who are going to investigate the issues. If they don't see anything on there, it's just an information gathering. If we do, there are several steps in this. Angela has done a really good job working with the building principals and working with special education staff, and our crew has done a really good job. Jennifer and her crew have done a really good job to really take it, because truly this was the last legislative session. We're about to start a new legislation, and we're just now getting the rules from TEA about this. So this has really been a big deal. And what we said the other day in our administrators meeting is, this is a bill that is going to protect kids, but it is also going to protect our staff as well. It really is. So I don't think philosophically I have a really big issue. The philosophical issue is they would do something to this magnitude without funding. And that's something that we're really going to have to get on as the 8 of us really come together and start our legislative push. We're really going to have to make it our voices on this specific law, making sure we understand we need funding.
Dr. Ward, I misspoke. It starts at about $7,000 a classroom. And the reason for the cost is the 6-month video storage. It's very expensive to store that video.
Anything else, board members, on that item? Thank you, Dr. Warren.
Yes, sir.
That's a good look for you over there, by the way.
Thank you.
Moving to number 8D, the competitive seal proposal, construction delivery method, and selection criteria for middle school number 6. Dr. Warren.
Board, it is time to restart our process on middle school number 6, and Tim's memo is on page 615 in your packet, and he's just going to go through a brief presentation on why we're recommending the competitive seal bids proposal.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so thought I'd give you a brief update just on project delivery systems, since we haven't done that since I've been here. So if you'll bear with me for a brief moment, I'll just kind of go through these as quickly as possible. But there's some interesting things that have happened over the course of since about 1995. Prior to 1995, ISDs were required to utilize competitive bidding, and since then there's been lots of different legislation passed that introduced the concept of best value procurement, where we're able to look at qualifications and cost as well and grade those out. And then there's been some change recently with shell, the word shell in legislation. I'll go through that here in just a second as well. Just everything since 1995, here's all the different bills that have happened that have had an effect on how we procure construction processes, specifically construction processes. If you look at House Bill 628, it referenced the Governmental Code Chapter 2269. That consolidates procurement methods for public works and construction type projects. It gives that ruling to local governments, which includes the district. And it has the traditional competitive procurement as well, but it also includes the other ones you see there: competitive seal proposal, construction manager agent, construction manager at risk, design build, and job order contracting. So under House Bill 628 and under the methods selection of the Texas Education Code, you can see there's items listed there that says competitive bidding for services other than construction services, competitive seal proposal for services other than construction services, request for proposal for other than construction services. Kind of go all the way through there, and you get to that one that I bolded there that says the method provided by Chapter 2269 Governmental Code for Construction Services, which means basically to say that there's language in the Texas Education Code that is different than what is in the governmental code. So some of the things we procure that are non-construction items have to follow the Texas Education Code, but for construction goods, we have to follow the Chapter 2269 of the government code. A lot of lingo, but ultimately what it boils down to is if you're under the Texas Education Code, which for construction we're not, you would see that the district shall, which means you will consider all those items that you see listed on the bullet points there. However, since we're doing construction, that's the change in the recent law. Is it used to read shall, but now it says may consider. So it's basically the same list, more or less, but now we have the option that we can consider all or some of those things as we go through a process of qualification, ranking, and scoring as we decide who delivers our construction projects. It's a little bit confusing. I just want to make sure you knew that we fall under a different thing than the Texas Education Code when it comes to construction procurement. And then the other thing is, if we're not going to do competitive bidding, which is low bid, where you don't take into account the actual qualifications of a contractor, if we're going to do anything other than that, so where we do take into account the qualifications, then there's a few things we have to do. So before we advertise, we have to determine what provides the best method. That's determined by you tonight, which is why I'm here. And then we have to publish the request for proposal, qualifications and criteria, and the actual weighted scale of the values that we're going to look at. And then we have to document that basis of selection and make it available to the public no later than the 7th day after the date of the contract is awarded. And then the last thing we have to do, it's in that same governmental code, a few sections down, 2269, the delegation of authority. And basically this is the governmental body basically delegating its authority under this chapter for the certain personnel to authorize and actually rate and evaluate the proposals as they come in. You got to designate the person by either title and then what their limits of their delegation is. So with all that being said, let's look at the project delivery systems. So the project delivery systems, you see the 6 there. We'll take each one. I'll go through a couple quick things here. Just quick facts. This is competitive bidding is what we're talking about first. This is what we would refer to as traditional low bid. Most familiar approach, been around forever basically. The documents are designed, then they go out to bid. The low number comes in, that's who you hire, contract is hired, and you go out and construct the actual project. Pros and cons, it's very familiar. You have a single point of responsibility for construction. It's a very aggressive bid competition. However, the cons are there's no design phase teaming. It could be a little bit longer overhaul duration. It doesn't provide for flexibility of changes if there's changes to the project. And potentially adversarial conversation or relationships can come out of that. Contractor quality is not a factor. The organization chart of that looks like this. School district, you hire the architect, you hire the general contractor hires the subs, and there's communication between the architect, engineering, and the general contractor. So kind of traditional looking model as far as the organization. Then we go on to competitive seal proposal, which is what we have presented for you tonight. Similar to competitive bid, a combination of price and other factors that we decide by the district. District selects the architect to design the project after documents are fully completed. Then a lump sum prices are accepted, so they go out to bid. We get those back. And it's not only based on just the price, but also based on the actual qualification of the team. Similar flow chart, you design, you bid it, you hire the contractor, and you go and construct. The pros, you have selection flexibility, meaning you get some flexibility in determining that qualification of the contract. Defined project scope, you have a single point of responsibility for construction, the general contractor is that. And it does allow for that aggressive bidding opportunity to select, so you get the best of both worlds. You kind of get that low bid and you get to select the best team. The cons is there's no design phase teaming, so nothing that they're doing during the construction or the design process. It can be a little bit longer overhaul duration with the bid process and some steps that require in there. Traditional organizational structure, same as before. General contractor, architect, engineer, both report to the owner, both have a relationship with one another, and the subs report to the general contractor. CM agent, or construction manager agent or construction manager agency. This is where you hire a CM agent that acts as an administrator to manage the district in lieu of a general contractor. The CM provides design phase services. CM holds no subcontracts nor provides the project bonding, and the selection of CM agent is qualified based. So what this is basically, look at the flow chart, you hire a construction manager to help manage the process. This is not the people actually doing the work. I would say that I will probably never stand before you and offer this up as a delivery method, because if we get to the pros and cons, and really I'm going to skip past this and just show you the flow chart, we hold all contracts with every sub, which is not a preferable selection. So you hire somebody to tell you how to do it, and then they're not at any risk. You're at risk with all the subcontracts. So that's kind of CM agency. Then we have CM at R, which you should be very familiar with. So a lot of what we've done in Northwest has been CM at risk. Construction manager at risk, they serve as a general contractor. They're responsible for the cost and schedule, so that changes the format a little bit different than what we do on some of the other delivery methods. CM provides design phase services. So during the design phase, they're helping evaluate cost and help with constructability and alternates. And then selection is based on qualifications, experience, and fee. So in this model, you hire the construction manager at the beginning of design, and you start design process with them at the table, and they're a partner along the way. And then you get to the bid stage, and then they go out and bid the job with their subcontractors and then deliver the construction. So the pros, you get the flexibility in selection, you get design phase assistance, which is really good from the standpoint of cost estimates and scheduling. You get a team concept, you get a little bit faster delivery schedule because you already have the general contractor on board. Probably the biggest disadvantage or con to this is it kind of removes the competitive nature, because you're really relying on the sub-market, on the sub-consultants that they have or subcontractors that they have to bid the job. Whereas if you go out for just a regular bid, you get all the GCs and all their subs trying to be competitive. Here, you have to hope they bring 4, 5, 6, 7 subs of each kind of major market to the bidding table. So it can be a con. Usually not, but it can be, because it might have a limited pool in the subcontractor. And it's a little bit difficult to evaluate the validity of the GMP. I mean, they're in there through the design process. They're setting a guaranteed maximum price. They would be foolish to set it where they couldn't hit that guaranteed maximum price. But nonetheless, our contracts are set up typically that anything that comes below, any amount that falls below that, the remainder is obviously returned back to the district. So that's traditional organizational structure. Contract with the owner, architect, engineer has contract with the owner. They have conversations between the two, and then the subcontractors report to the general contractor. Design build, this is a single entity contract that provides both design and construction. Can be a complex delivery approach, but it can also be a fast delivery because you're getting that person on board and moving. Flow chart is you're hiring a design build firm at the first, and they're designing, they're bidding, and they're constructing everything. So you kind of get all the selection process out of the way at the beginning. The pros, single point of responsibility, team concept, faster schedule, delivery, but lots of checks and balances. It's difficult for a district to manage that process because the contractor and architect are one and the same. And probably the biggest reason that we would not, that I would stay away from that, is that in this process, we're required as a district to hire a third-party architect to then review what the design build team did. So we're kind of hiring 2 architects. One is part of the design build team and one to review their work. So, and then there's the organizational contract or structure. We have a contract with the general contractor or the design build firm, and then everybody else falls underneath. Last one is job order contracting. This we do quite a bit of. This would be kind of the small minor construction projects that we work with our different vendors, either through a bid process or through a buy board type process. So these are small aggregate projects. You bid, design, you construct. Suited for small in-house projects, and that's really what we use them for. Use a cost margin to help determine that the industry the price is acceptable on the labor table. Competition is limited. We try to at least get 3 whenever we're going through that. On any small job order contracts, we try to get at least 3 through their same type of traditional organization. So here's the recommendation. We would recommend that you select competitive seal proposal and delivery method for middle school number 6, and I'll speak to that just briefly as to why. Because we're deviating from the CM at risk process, which you are familiar with. The biggest reason why is the value in CM at risk is if you bring the contractor on at the first of the design process. Is they're there with you, they're learning the design, they're there helping you do the cost estimating and do the schedules. Because the nature of Middle School 6 is history, is we started that design process and we pressed pause and we got about, I'd say, into DD, basically, almost into the CD document. So you got schematic design, design development, and then you go into construction documents. We were at the end of DD when we pushed pause. When we decided to move forward with that, we went straight into CD, and at that point we looked and said, well, if we were to hire a CM at risk contractor and go through that process now, getting that approval from you and then going through the selection process, the interviews and everything, we'd be done with the drawings by the time we onboarded the construction manager, which means we lost all value that they're going to bring to the table. Their fees usually come in a little bit higher because they're providing that scheduling assistance, they're providing pre-construction services at the design table, and so because that we wouldn't have received the value in that, we visited with the architect and engineer on this project, and I would recommend that we go forward with competitive seal proposal because we've lost the value in CM at risk right now. They're both being basically delivered based on qualifications. Here we're going to have a little bit more competitive edge because of we get to actually competitively bid the project. The second part of the recommendation is to have you elect to delegate your authority to receive, review, and score the qualified submissions and present the final recommendation to you according to the schedule of receiving those RFPs. And then the last piece of that is who would we elect for you to, or we recommend for you to delegate the authority to, and there's the following list of individuals. Be myself, Executive Director of Construction, Construction Manager, Director of Purchasing and Contract Management, and then a representative of the A&E, that's the of record architect and engineer team. Any questions? Kind of blew through that pretty fast.
Board, we would recommend approval.
So just so I'm clear, so this really puts more work on our side, more effort on our side, but it benefits us financially and also time-wise to get it all done.
It puts a little more work on our side on the front end of the design, which we're done with. So yes, but we could see a benefit in the competitive market because it's not already awarded to one GC. So you're going to have, I anticipate, based on the conversations I've had and the phone calls I've received, I anticipate a very good turnout. I would say good for me is 7 to 10 contractors, GCs, showing up to bid this job. And I think full well we will get every bit of that. So you're not getting only the advantage of those GCs, but all their subcontractor markets bidding on this as well. Whereas if we were CM at risk, we would have locked in that contractor months ago, and then they would have been sending the bid out to their subcontractors that they normally work with.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
And the subcontractors would still need to have the bonding?
Absolutely. None of that changes. They still have to be bonded. Yes.
And do you have any conversations with the general contractor with regard to subcontracts?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, what we require, and we've been working with Mark on this, what we require is a two-step submission process. And how that works is they're going to be required to submit their price on one day, and then 2 days later they're required to submit their team. Okay. And we identify 20 subcontractors, the major fields, your masonry, steel, construction, all your major fields. We require them to submit resumes and personnel on every one of those so we know exactly who they're submitting as a team.
Thank you.
Tim, I want to commend you. I think you need to make a presentation at the TASB conference because for people not in the construction industry, going through all those different delivery methods is very critical.
It is.
And I appreciate your thoroughness on that.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. Wright.
I move to approve using the competitive seal proposal method as a construction delivery method for the Northwest ISD Middle School number 6 and assigning the delegation of authority to receive, review, and score qualified submission and to present the final recommendations to the Board of Trustees to be granted to the following individuals: an ISD District Architect Planner, an ISD Executive Director of Construction, an ISD Construction Manager, an ISD Director of Purchasing and Contract Management, and representative of the Architect Engineer of Record team as recommended by the administration.
A motion has been made by Mr. Wright, seconded by Dr. Simpson, and that was quite a nice reading, Mr. Wright.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on this item?
I graduated from Northwest.
One last question that I had, Mr. McClure, and
sir.
Are we providing construction oversight on this as well? As part of these team members that we just delegated or about to delegate authority to?
Yes, as normal. That doesn't change in the delivery. The A&E team will have construction oversight, and our team as well will have construction oversight. The construction manager is still held responsible for the labor that goes on. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any other questions? All those in favor? Those opposed, motion carries 7-0. Thank you, Board. Thank you, Tim.
Based on your motion, just want to give you a heads up that we do plan on advertising, I believe the 18th, September 18th. So if you hear that out on the street, advertisement will be out within the week.
Excellent. Moving down to item number 9, reports. Under A, middle school number 6, easement exhibit report. Dr. Warren.
Well, since Mr. McClure is on a roll tonight, we will allow him to give our easement report.
Okay. Well, normally we do not give you easements reports. They usually just kind of come to you and you approve them. But I wanted to bring this to you because I'm going to take you back to, let's see, this is August 27th, 2013. And this was the easement that y'all looked at. We actually had to pass this through you because we had so many. There was 14, and I think it hit at the same time. We actually asked for a board resolution because it hit right before July when there wasn't a board meeting, and some of these things needed to happen, so y'all gave authority for us to move forward. So there's a lot going on with all the easements and the drainage and the utilities around the Eaton High School site. So that's all been done. Everything you see there was what was done back in 2013. So the next side, I'm going to flip through these. So we got another 12. There's actually 13 listed, but one has been negated since then. But I'm going to walk these through with you just so you know, because you're going to see these coming in either next board session or the one after. You're going to see these start to come in as we can get them wrapped up. And so I wanted you to be aware of them. So I'll go through them pretty quickly. And I colored them as they go so you can find them real easily. So there you go. So the green one, number 15 there, that's a new stormwater detention facility. That's just basically reducing that area for the stormwater that we had before. If we were to go back, you see that big green area? Well, we've got to build a middle school there, so we need to reduce that. So that's what that green area is the new stormwater detention area. The remainder of that you saw on the other slide is that kind of yellow mustard color there. That's actually abandoning the easement that was there, that's been there all along since it was created for the Eaton High School piece. 17, right now you're familiar probably with the little turnaround that's there at the end after you go past Schluter. There's a turnaround because you can't get out to 287. There's a public temporary turnaround that we need to abandon as we start to develop Eagle Drive on out to 287. So that's part of the instruments that'll be coming through. The next little blue stripe, I skipped 18. I skipped that for a reason. I'll come back to it when we get down to it. But 19 is a 30-foot wide Devon access easement that we're going to abandon. That's the road that they've been using to come off Eagle and access their well sites that are over there. The two well sites you see there, as well as the third one closer to 287. So we're abandoning that, and I'll show you why in just a second. This next one is a little bit hard to see. It's red. It's up in the top where Eagle Drive hits 287. That's item 20. That's a new public water line easement, and we'll do that by final plat. But there's basically a public water line that we have to grant an easement for there, and that'll be the final easement for that area. And then the next one is the brown hatched area that runs all along 287, and that's the new Devon Road 30-foot private easement access that we're providing. So we eliminated that blue one that's kind of a squiggly temporary one coming off Eagle, and now the gas trucks, the Devon trucks will come in off the 287 feeder and come along the side down basically a gravel road and access that well site at the very bottom closest to 287, and then they'll come across the same path they've been traveling to go to the other two sites. So it basically takes them away from the schools and down the kind of the service road and the road that doesn't exist there, which will be this new gravel type road for them. The next one is this orange line that goes from the big roundabout there, and it goes all along Eagle Drive back to Willow Springs. It kind of is hard to see, but it's on the south side of Eagle Drive. That was a new public sanitary sewer easement. However, that's the one since we've created this, has been removed. They actually found a different route. They're going through Fort Worth's easement. So the construction cones you see on Eagle Drive today, that's that easement. They didn't require us. Basically, they went through their own City of Fort Worth easement to put that sanitary sewer line in. That's the main sanitary sewer line that will feed the development west of Willow Springs Road. So that one's no longer, you won't see that one show up. The next one, item 23, is a really small area down there on the south of the detention pond where that gas well site is. Sorry, you can see the little blue square kind of pop up. There's a lot going on there. There's a temporary drainage easement. So we have the drainage from that detention pond being able to drain across there. We need to abandon that one, and then we need to provide a new permanent public drainage easement with Devon, and then a new encroachment easement for drainage and facilities with both Devon and Inlink. So there's a little piece of this, but there's about 4 little pieces to it that are being wrapped up and finalized in that easement. And the last one, we're going to get back to that 18, is that this 24, the temporary drainage easement across Hanover property. This is right now where all the temporary flow of the water goes after it leaves the detention pond. And so we work with Hanover as they've kind of readjusted some of their layout of their land and how they want this drainage to go through their property. And so now we go back to 18 is the gray area. So that's the one we're abandoning. The brown one was there today. And this is going to be the new one. We've basically adjusted that over and gotten it closer to their roadway, which is how they want to design it. And that was on them, not us. No big deal there. Then these last few, there's a 30-foot new public drainage easement that comes along the south side of the middle school site. That's basically the easement for the drainage to get to the detention pond. And then there's the Green Road, basically the new right-of-way of Eagle Boulevard to be finally dedicated, that will go over and connect to the 287 service road. And then the last little piece is right there where Eagle Boulevard terminates into 287 service road, and that's the encroachment agreement with Inlink for crossing their gas line right there. So just kind of wanted to have you apprised of all those so that you knew about them when they come in, because it wasn't just a single document that you're going to be seeing. It's a complexity of many different easements going away and being finalized. Any questions on that?
Tim, the road, is it going to be for ingress, not egress? Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, that is correct. It's an interesting scenario. I wish I could have a timeline to tell you that I felt hopeful one day we were going to be able to have egress out that direction. But right now, I have no way of knowing that. That has to deal with Highway 287 and when they get their service roads in and a bunch of different things there. So right now, really the only anticipated ingress that we see that's allowed there is for Devon to access that little roadway. So they can come down 287. So that's a good thing. They won't come through our site. They won't come down Eagle Boulevard, or they shouldn't. Just come down the access road 287, and they're the only ones able to basically get on that little area and get into the site. Other people come in, you can't leave that way. Yes.
So how will the oil field vehicles get out?
They're allowed to go back out that direction. They're the only ones allowed to go back out over there onto the access road that exists today.
So that piece of frontage road will remain two-way?
Yes.
So that'll take them back to Blue Mountain?
Yes.
Board members? Thank you, Mr. McClure.
Thank you.
Good job.
Moving down to 9B, naming of facilities, middle school number 6 report. Dr. Warren?
Board, we thought it'd be good if you just reviewed the process, since we are restarting the initiative to build number 6. You're going to do a very positive thing in the very near future of naming it. So we want Emily to go over the process, please.
All right. So the naming of new schools supports our strategic goals, specifically Goal 3, which is centered around communications, and then Goal 4, facilities to enhance learning environment and foster community pride. The naming criteria, in order to be named, they have to meet the following board policy CW local and that's for buildings serving kindergarten through 8th grade follows the specific criteria listed below. So in memory of a person who has served the district or community, in memory of any person who's made a significant contribution to society or education, a local residential or geographic area, or district property donor or his or her family members. So that's the specific criteria in looking at kindergarten through 8th grade. It's a little bit different 9 through 12, but that's included in your summary, but I didn't include it in this PowerPoint since we're focusing on middle school. So here's a look at our timeline. So starting Monday, we're going to open the recommendations to the public, and that'll be open for exactly 4 weeks, so it will close on October 17th. By the end of October, we'll have the naming committee come together to review recommendations, and then the committee will present that recommendations to the board on November 14th in hopes for a final decision December 12th. So that's a look at the timeline. We'll use the following communication channels to promote the call for name recommendations, so from our website to social media, all types of e-newsletters, of course, word of mouth, and then using our NISD ambassadors. We do have an online form that will be available on the homepage of the district site, but then we also have a paper form as well if someone wishes to use the paper form. Any questions? All right.
Go ahead, Dr. Simpson.
Just a question about
Yes, ma'am.
membership on the naming committee.
Yes.
What is the representation on
Sure.
that?
It is an internal committee, so made up of district administrators representing different departments, people that have been in the district for a long period of time, know the history of the district. So.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Coughlin.
I don't believe for the naming committee.
Last call. Thank you, Ms. Coughlin.
Very good.
Moving now to 9C, Summer Learning District Effectiveness Report. Dr. Warren.
Board, Dr. McNeese is going to come up. We had a very positive program this summer for our students, and Susie's going to give us the report on that.
Hello, greetings. This has been a hard act to follow with all these great reports. I want to share with you about our summer learning. We're not focusing on summer school because it sounds punitive in its history, and I think you'll be really pleased to see all of the learning that has gone in our district this summer. And when we look at our strategic goals, it is school, and it's comprehensive really for our summer school. So our goals of learning are just right along with our strategic goals. Goal 1, designing dynamic learning experiences. We had highly motivated staff. We had positive partnerships with communities. A positive learning environment. We really fostered a lot of student and community pride. And Goal 5, we invested our resources to ensure that students received optimal educational services. Our summer learning looks something like this. We had fine arts learning, elementary and secondary, which is a little bit more academic, athletics, and technology opportunities for our students. Virtually every school was represented this year. Kids came from all over the district to participate, and I think that's really a great thing. In our fine arts department with Dr. Lacefield, you can see a smattering of some of the opportunities that they had as far as orchestra camps, dance camps, art, cheer, strings, and dulcimer camp. Not everybody has that, so we were pretty excited about that. I tease Kevin because Dr. Lacefield, because 392 students was really the lower amount. There were really a lot more students that were involved in fine arts when you include cheer, band, and things like that, but he's always so humble, so we have 392. And you'll see why in a minute when we see athletics. In elementary, we had 1,133 students participate in many different types of opportunities. We had language academies for our kindergarten and first grade ELL learners, science opportunities with Don Warren over at Hatfield, problem-based learning. We had that at Granger and at Sendera. Literacy clubs, we had that at Peterson and Clara Love. I take that back. Literacy Club and Numeracy Club is our elementary version of Kickstart. So for students who are at risk and they met at-risk indicators. They had an invitation to come and work on their mathematics skills or their reading skills. And then our SSI, we had fifth graders that did not master the second version of the STAR math test. And as you know, right before we were to give the test, the state called that off. However, our kids really stayed in school, and they were committed to that. And then we've also had Camp Invention. With our technology, with Kara Carter and Renee Engel, you can see the 4 opportunities that students had in grades 1 through 8, from making circuits, building computers, stop motion animation, and we had 340 students that participated in that. Athletics. Not so humble, but anyway, 2,217 students. It's like preacher count. I think you padded it, but anyway. But you can see that we really do have a myriad of opportunities for athletics, and it is a great community outreach. Families have really been involved in that, and that area just keeps continuing to grow, and we're really appreciative of our coaches putting forth that effort during the summer. Secondary, we had 408 students participate in summer learning in a little bit more structured environment at the secondary campus of Eaton High School. That's where we had that. We had credit recovery for students who did not master a class. We had acceleration credits for students who wanted to go forward and get ahead. We had our EOC prep into the year and also STAR, but as you know, again, they dismissed the STAR test. Many of our students in secondary that were in for EOC prep, especially at the middle school level, they decided to then go to credit recovery because they had not mastered the class either, but the STAR overrode that. And Kickstart, much like I talked about in the elementary, this was the first time we've done this for the secondary, and that was for middle school and high school. And they were given the opportunity to design a program for their campus. And so all of the middle school and high schools participated in that, and we had 236 students. I fully expect for that to grow because once people started finding out about it and really seeing the benefit, we were almost finished with it. So it'll be a great supply and demand this next year. When we look at our summer credits, we had 145 semesters of credits recovered. And we only had 7 students that did not get credited for their courses. And also with the 72 original credits obtained, and we only had 2 that did not receive credit. So I think that's pretty significant. When we look at our Summer STAR EOC performance data, this is a reminder that this is students who are not successful at the first go-around or they were absent. So typically we would see the success rate higher. However, we do know that some of those students did not perform well that first time, and we're continually trying to close that gap. Community collaboration. Champions Daycare offered daycare at 3 of our campuses this year. Community Storehouse partnered with us for book clubs. We had 45 students. Law Academia, an outside source, came. Only 9 students participated in that Spanish. So that kind of tells us where our community is right now on their interest in that. We had our elementary school libraries open, and over 2,000 books were checked out. So our students are continuing to read throughout the summer, and we're really thankful to Sonny Johnson and some programs that we had the ability to do that. We had student volunteers that also helped at some of the science camps, and we had over 250 NISD teachers involved in educating our students this summer. So when Dr. Warren says we are NISD, and we mean it, dedicated educators in our 14 communities, we served over 4,760 students this summer. So I think that you can see our summer learning success definitely tied in with our goals. Do you have any questions for me? Yes, at the secondary level, there were different courses that they could accelerate in. The elementary schools, the optional ones like invention and science and things like that, sports camps, music camps, those are all optional and they can choose.
Mr. Fuller, do you have the
Thank you very much.
question look on your mind? No? Anything else, board members? Dr. Manise, thank you very much. Very nice report. Very exciting. Makes me want to go to summer school. Or was summer learning success? Yes. Sorry. We'll skip item number 10 because we didn't have any items removed from the consent agenda. Brings us down to item number 11 on Board President's report. I thank all the administrators and staff for their excellent reports tonight. Very concise, thorough. Team of 8 training. I'm excited about that this weekend, starting at 7:30. Mr. Wright brought up the idea of maybe doing it at the Outdoor Learning Center. We still have time to change that if we choose to do that. If we have logistics or excellent. Next is the TASA conference convention coming up September to the 22nd through the 25th. And I think everybody's already been sent out something for those that are going. Always a fun and fruitful event. Also, we've talked about, we have 2 meetings in October, and one of them conflicts with a holiday. I've elected, with your permission, to just do 1 meeting in October. So is that acceptable to everybody? Okay, good.
The 10th will be called on.
Excellent. Thank you. And please express our appreciation to Roanoke Dental for the lovely...
It's a longer second meeting.
And that brings us down to item number 12, which is superintendent's report. Dr. Warren.
Okay, board, just want to make sure everybody heard the change in time. Our sleep-deprived president has decided we were going to get up a little earlier on Saturday, so we will be starting at 7:30.
Does that mean we get out earlier?
It does. It does. We will be up by noon.
Continue, Dr. Warren. Continue, please.
And we will, yes. And Josh, I thought that was a great idea as well. In fact, we had some meetings this last week of our staff in the OLC. So if any of those rooms are available, we will move that out there and make sure we have all the technology done. And hope we're going to have a great TASB conference, as Mark stated. So we're looking forward to that.
Good.
All right. Meeting adjourned.
I think that, what does that mean?
We usually like to set it for 4 and then 3.5 hours.
May or may not be at COLC or maybe here.
Yes, I will say, it's either going to be the OLC or it's at our conference room. Yeah.
I need to ask